Hello crafting friends, this is Jane Fires with Fun Stamper's Journey. Today what we're going to do is make a particular card using the stamp sets out of our new Spring into Summer catalog. And this catalog is just totally filled with new ideas. We have barbecues, we have sea creatures, and one of the neat things is on the sea creatures section we have several that are full stamp sets for your full background, so you can do your complete background. And then of course in the back of our book we still have our magical journey that can be purchased. Everything in this book is on sale now until the end of June. The card we're going to do today is this one here with our new fish. And this particular stamp set is called Artful Fins, and it has 5 stamps in it, and it's a lot of fun because it also has a die with it. So you can stamp your fish and die cut them and then color them. The other stamp set we're using today is Catching the Waves, which is a full front of a card. And then out of Sandy Toes, we are using the words, "It's not where you go, it's who you travel with." So these are the stamp sets today. And then we're also using one of our photo pins, and that's going to hold our message. And we're cutting out our vellum circle with our punch system, and this of course happens to be our scallop punch, and it's the 1 3/4 size scallop. So you'll see that because this one I've already punched out. But just to show you again, it's very easy. Very light touch, and you'll punch out whatever design it is. Okay, crafters, this is the card, of course, that we're going to do today. And the first thing we're going to do is do our 2 little fish so we can get those cut out and out of the way. I'm going to lay the card aside. So what I've done is I've cut a piece of white whipped cream cardstock, and I am inking up with our black fusion ink. Remember, our ink is a hybrid. It is both a pigment and a dye ink. We have the 2-in-1. So there's one fish, and now here's my other one. Okay, now I'll bring in our little Amaze machine, which is really amazing. It's my favorite. It's lightweight, and yet it cuts extremely well. Put my plate on, my orange cutting plate, lay my fish on, and take my 2 dies. Put my top plate on and run them through. And again, remember, when your plates start to warp like mine have because I've used them so much, just run them through and let them sit in the machine overnight. All right, so here are our 2 fish ready to go, stamped and die cut. Now I'm going to take just a little piece of scrap paper of the white, and I'm going to, in black, put my words on it. It's not where you go, it's who you travel with. And then with my little detail scissors, which I love from Fun Stampers because they will sharpen themselves and nothing will stick to them. And believe me, I've put everything I could think of to cut out our white liner tape, everything, and nothing sticks to it. So that's a real blessing. And of course you can cut your words out however you choose to. And then my words are going to be put on my piece of vellum that I cut out with our punch system. I'm going to put just a small little foam dot on it, and then put this in up towards the top a little bit and center it. So it's now ready to go, and I'm going to put it on the photo pin that I showed you earlier. Okay, so I've got my fish and my saying ready to go. So now I'm going to take my pool play and I'm going to stamp on it the waves. And I'm going to make sure that with my clear ink that I get the middle of this, because my cardstock is not going to fit the whole part of this particular stamp. I'm only using a portion of it. So once I have it inked with clear ink, I'm going to lay it down where I want it. And then I take a piece of scrap paper, lay it over the top, and using my fingers, I go over it. That way I know that I have a good inking on my cardstock. You could, if you wanted to, use a roller for this also, to roll over your cardstock. Okay, pick it up. Now I know it's extremely hard to see because it was clear ink, but just wait. Now I am taking our Softy tools, and when you get the Softy tools, you get the big sponge, you get 5 of the little ones that go on the knife, and then you get this littler one, and I like this one. This is one of my favorites. So now what I'm doing is I'm using Party Pop Panpastels, and the first color that I'm going to add in is this one, and it is our beach ball. It's our darker blue. So I'm going to take a little bit of it, and again, starting off on my paper, I'm going to come on to my cardstock. And as I do, you can see that my ink is picking it up and it's getting darker. And this you can make as dark or as light as you want to. It's whatever your preference is. So the middle part here, I'm just making it a little bit darker. And then I'm going to take our other blue, which is Beach Breeze, and I'm going to go over the rest of it with some Beach Breeze. And I just rub lightly over it. Another thing you can do is just pat it on if you wanted to where your ink is, and then rub it over so that it smooths it all down. So whatever technique works for you, go ahead and do it. And then I just blend the two of them together. Okay, now I think I want just a little bit more of the darker blue up here towards the top. And you can play around with your Panpastels and put them on however you want to. It's really a lot of fun. And put a little darker blue down at the bottom. Okay, so now there is my background. So I can move these out of the way. The nice thing with our Panpastels is that they screw together. So like in this set, this is the entire set of Party Pop, and I've just labeled them so that I know. And then on the back side, I've cut out the label off of our kit that they come in so that I know what the name of each one is. And then these I just put into a container and I save them so that I can use them time after time. Your sponges can be washed if you'd like, but I just use them for the same colors. Okay, now I'm bringing in my Catalina splash, and I'm going to fold it in half because this is my card base. Then in order to make sure that I have a good crease, I'm bringing in my crease tool and creasing it at the top. Then to this one, I am going to add, as you can tell in my card, I'm going to add my white first, and I'm dotting this up. Then my black will go on, and it's also with my dots. But then my background I'm putting on tight to my black piece. So take my white one, take my 3D medium foam squares, take off their backing piece, and center it on my piece of Catalina splash. Then I'm going to take my background piece, I'm going to put some white liner tape on it. And remember, this is the tape that's tearable, which means you can rip it. Take my bloom tool, and lift off my backing. And put this down centered on my piece of black. Turn it over and put it on with my dots. And then centered onto my white. And then I'm taking some of our black licorice thread, and I'm going to put it on this card before I put on my fish and things. Now, I don't know about you, but Richard makes this look so easy. But I'm not Richard, and I have a hard time getting my circles sometimes the way I want them. So what I do is I put down my little foam dot first, and then I lay a piece on it so I know it's going to stay. And then I begin to make my circles. And I think I want maybe 3 or 4 circles. Okay. And 1 more. And then with my scissors again, I can just cut that off. All right, now I'm ready to put my fish on, and I'm going to put my pop dots on these as well. 2 of the medium ones. On that fish, it'll go up by the mouth and on the tail, and here by the mouth. And then this one, I put it sort of at an angle so I can get it to fit up in there without showing on either side. Put the big one on first. And adjust how I want him, because my saying is going to go on here as well. And you can still see my circles. And then my smaller fish down towards the bottom. And let him overlap the other fish just a little bit. So there I am so far. Now I want to trim off my thread here and my thread here. But now what I want to do is I'm going to take some of our Journey Glaze and I'm going to put it on my two fish and I'm going to smooth it with my finger because I don't want it real thick. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I want to be able to put on a few of my sparkle cuts, because the sparkle cuts will sort of make my fish look like scales. And for those of you that have gone fishing very much, you know that all fish have scales. And when you try and clean the fish, they go everywhere. Okay, so now I'm going to take a few of my sparkle cuts and just sprinkle them on my fish. And then pat off the excess. I don't want them by his eye. So I'm going to take my bloom tool, which is that handy dandy tool we have, and get them off of his eye. Now if you wanted to, you could also, for his eye, put one of the little wiggly eyes on that we have. So there's this one. Again, this set, everything I've used is in the new Spring into Summer, and you can find the catalog on my website at www.funstampersjourney.com/angelhugs. Have a blessed day.